You're listening to BioTalk with Rich Bendis, the only podcast focused on the BioHealth Capital Region. Each episode, we'll talk to leaders in the industry to break down the biggest topics happening today in biohealth.
Hi, this is Rich Bendis. We have another edition of BioTalk with leaders within the BioHealth Capital Region. Today we have David Petr, who's president and CEO of Montgomery County Economic Development Corporation, better known as MCEDC, or as people also say, EDC, Economic Development Corporation. David, welcome to BioTalk.
Thank you very much for being here, Rich. I know you and I have a lot of fun telling the wonderful stories of Montgomery County.
Well, and about Maryland and about the whole BioHealth Capital Region, of which we seem to be the epicenter of.
Absolutely, and we're going to be continuing to grow up on that list and be a force to be reckoned with this time.
Yeah, and the list that David's talking about is that we have determined that we want to be one of the top 3 biohealth regions in the United States by 2023. We're currently ranked number 5 by Genetic Engineering News, and we all think it's realistic to achieve that goal.
Good. Let's get after it.
Let's get after it. So, a lot of people, David, have heard about MCEDC, maybe heard your name, but there aren't that many people since you've only been here, a year and a half now?
Yeah, just about 16, 17 months.
17 months.
September of 2016.
So welcome to the region.
Thank you.
And they'd like to know about your background, where you came from, what you did before, and why you accepted this great job up here in Montgomery County.
Yeah, I grew up in the Chicago area, south side of Chicago, went to school in advertising at University of Illinois, then got a master's degree from the University of Texas at Austin. In between, I did an archaeological dig of all things. Not many people know that I helped recover a Creek Indian village from the 1400s. And in the hot sun, I realized at that point that I want to be a creative, strategic thinker in my career, and went into advertising as a copywriter out of University of Texas. Lived in Austin for really an incredible time in Austin's history from 1996 to 2008.
A lot of time on 6th Street.
A lot of time on 6th Street, 4th Street, a lot of time in technology, life sciences, economic development, and started up a marketing firm within an economic development company in West Texas, because I really believe economic development is understanding your assets and telling that story well. So I think there was a transformation happening in economic development at that time where people were branding themselves and becoming attractive to site selectors and companies for people to pursue opportunities in their community. So after I left West Texas, I started up an EDC in Winter Haven, Florida. I thought they needed a different type of professional. They needed an economic developer, but they needed a marketer. They needed someone to tell the story of why to be in Winter Haven, Florida. Was successful at that, and then took on the role of an EDC for the county, in Polk County, very large county, 2,000 square miles, 600,000 people, 17 municipalities, multiple EDCs. The need to really be partnership-driven, much like we're doing here together in the region, in the greater Washington region. What I did there was really unique and kind of parlayed my opportunity here into Montgomery County, where I helped there, just as I did here, transition economic development out of a government-run function to a private organization. So when I saw the opportunity to come to Montgomery County, I thought it needed the right blend of my skill sets, someone that can transition, change a new culture, someone who could tell the story, and really think about economic development in a brand new way.
And you talk about transitioning, but first let's do a brief introduction of Montgomery County Economic Development Corporation for the listeners. Talk a little bit about what it was created to do. I'll talk about the transition after that, but I think it'd be good to give a little background on what the mission, what your programs are, and what you were created to do for this region.
Yeah, when I define the activities of the EDC, I really talk about it as a 3-legged stool. So I look at our endeavors as really being focused on business development, marketing, and strategic initiatives. We're a public-private partnership governed by private business women and men, as well as some county liaisons, to drive much higher impact than what's been occurring in economic development in Montgomery County in the past. So very customer service driven, very responsive to business. And I think that's really our key strength as I was thinking about preparing for today. Our success is that we're much closer tied to the business community than economic development has been in the past. For example, yesterday we presented our new strategic plan of action. And our strategic plan of action wasn't developed in a vacuum based on our staff or our board's input, but really listening to what we've heard in the business community over the past year and a half. What are the needs of the business community for them to be successful, to create new jobs, to create new capital investment, to provide the infrastructure that's needed to help a company start and grow and be successful? I came up with the idea with our team and with validation from the board that we want to reinvent economic development. We want to accelerate business growth, and we want to find new ways to do that. As you know, there's 18,000 EDCs across the country, each competing for a small part of that development pie. So we certainly want to be focused on recruiting business, but really we were built at the beginning to make sure we're taking care of the companies that are currently here in Montgomery County. So a lot of this first year and a half has been outreach to Montgomery County businesses to let them know that we exist, that we're here for their success, and we want them to stay and grow. And we deliver new real estate solutions. We can help facilitate incentives based on new job creation or capital investment. We can help them find new talent. We can help them with a strategic introduction to a customer. We can connect them with organizations such as yours or other organizations throughout the region and state. We really pride ourselves on being business concierges, to not go in with the solution right off the bat, but do a good job listening and understand what they need, either to remove a barrier or to give them a new solution to help them be successful.
And you mentioned your private-public partnerships, such as we are at BioHealth Innovation. The difference was we were created within this region when the Department of Economic Development was the primary economic engine for Montgomery County within government. And you mentioned that MCEDC is a private-public partnership outside of government. Tell me a little bit about the difference in the way an economic development organization functions inside government versus the benefits and why it's going to function outside of government better.
Yeah, going back to that tie to the business community, I think our private board of directors drives a higher level of responsiveness, a higher level of accountability. They're certainly much closer to the opportunities and challenges of the marketplace, where government might be a little bit more removed. I have the ability to be more nimble in my hiring, and if a case need to be, changing of employees as well. We have a true and perceived reality of having more confidentiality in our projects. So companies might find it easier to work with a private organization or a public-private partnership versus government. And we're mission focused over the long term. We don't change our mission based on elected officials or a change of staff that might occur in the county. So although there's changes ahead politically in Montgomery County, the mission of helping businesses grow will be constant throughout economic development in the county. So, and at the end of the day, too, I think the big thing that's kind of more of a soft advantage is that's just a culture change. It's a chance for the business community and for the economic developers in the county to really think about things differently. How can we not be comfortable with the status quo? How can we think about things differently and approach problems in maybe a new lens to drive new solutions?
And really, you've come from Florida without any ties to this region as a new kid on the block, similar to what I did coming from Philadelphia down to Maryland as a new kid on the block. And sometimes it's very difficult to be accepted and understood when you come into a new community. How have you found the reception for yourself within this region?
That's a good question. I had the ability and the luxury to meet a lot of people in the first 6 months of being here. Really, the first 3 months, I think I met with 100 individuals or business groups or Rotary clubs and whatnot. And certainly it was a overwhelming experience in the amount of information and perspective I had to take in and try to assimilate into something to understand what my role and place would be in the economy. And it took a good 6 months to take all that information and understand where the landmines are, where the opportunities are, where the people who are true allies to me were, and then turn that into real advantage for Montgomery County and the EDC. I think my nature is collaborative to begin with. I don't come in assuming that I have all the answers. So I think my style played well and continues to play well in Montgomery County. I look to create allies and an extension of my team versus me saying it's Dave Petr's way or the highway. In fact, kind of anecdotally, I was at a very early meeting. I won't name the organization, but I was at a meeting within 2 weeks of being here. And I presented what I thought was the appropriate vision for the county and the EDC and shared it with this group of 30 people. And someone in the group said, well, we hope you do really well. Why don't you come back in a year and let us know how you did? And I said, no, it's not me. It's not the EDC. It's not the 18 of us at the EDC. It's really all of us in the room working together. So that's the continued narrative and approach I'm having to this job is everywhere I go, when people are looking at the EDC for solutions, I say, really, it's all of us working together. And that's really true. It's not just a catchphrase, but really my success is their success. And I try to foster that.
So also in the economic development world, everybody looks at metrics and outcomes and performance indicators. And you've been here 17 months now, as you say. And sometimes people aren't as patient as you expect them to be when you've taken on a brand new corporation in a brand new region as a brand new individual. How would you look at your first year, your accomplishments, and, as you reflect back, things that have been accomplished within this first 17 months?
Yeah, it's a good question, and a question we're asked many, many times through our board of directors and through our county partner to justify our investment amount and our budget amount. I think back to those early days at the EDC. Essentially, we started with 3 people, no office, and no copy machine, no health insurance. It's really building something from scratch. By the time we got to build our project pipeline, it was really last December, February. Now we're managing a project pipeline of about 50 projects, ranging from life sciences, technology, advanced manufacturing, hospitality, the mix. We have a team of 18 people. We've got a fully furnished out space. We've got policies and procedures in place. We've got not only a logo, but a website with hundreds of dynamic pages. We're in the second round of the Amazon pitch, the only county in the running for Amazon. And I think 6 or 8 project announcements in just this fiscal year that are expansion opportunities. So very, very happy with our success. Certainly there was lessons learned along the way that I'd refine our strategy, but we've got great support from our board of directors, great support from our partners such as BHI and the county. I think we're becoming more aligned day by day, but certainly there was a void. There was a void of economic development prior to us getting started, between DED ending and the propping up of our organization. So we've been very insular in our focus in Montgomery County. I called it thinking inside the box. So before I choose to send the business development team out across the country and across the world to bring business back, we want to make sure that the companies in our county know that we're here. And those are opportunities that might not be the huge headlines. To me, they're singles and doubles, and those are important wins for us. But we're looking to reach 1,000 companies this fiscal year, and that's a pretty aggressive goal, just to make sure people know that we're here and we can help them be successful. So I think the wins that I'm most happy about are singles right now, and they're doubles. Certainly Amazon is capturing the headlines, but there's a lot of smaller stories that are very exciting and compelling to me.
You mentioned your 3-legged stool. Now, there's another 3-legged stool, and that's basically attraction, retention, and startup. And so what you've determined, and I think is really important, is to focus your early days and energy on making certain that we retain the good companies, industries, and organizations that are here, while at the same time trying to paint the picture while other companies should locate here. So in doing that, though, you have to identify where the priority industries and industry clusters and strengths are within Montgomery County for you to focus on. So in your analysis, where do you see the major economic drivers and demographics in this region for the strongest industries that we can lead in and attract and retain?
We parallel the economic development strategy developed by the county and the agreement that life science is truly our strongest industry for pursuing, expanding companies, for recruiting companies, retaining companies. It's our number one lead source. Of our 50 leads we have, our projects we have in our pipeline right now, it fluctuates between 10 and 14 being life sciences. It'll always be our number one. Technology, cybersecurity will be our number 2 most attractive industry to pursue in expansion recruitment. Advanced manufacturing, hospitality, corporate headquarters, financial services, media rounds out the list. As we've been going through our strategic planning process, we were really considering maybe focusing more on not only the 5 core industries that are in the CES, the Comprehensive Economic Strategy, but maybe really getting laser focused on life sciences and technology. So most of our outreach that we do, whether it's traveling to a trade show or it's marketing related or it's PR related, will be focused around life sciences and technology, because truly we have, as you know, the physical assets, we've got the talent, we've got the proximity to federal government, we've got connectivity, we've got the K through 12 school systems that our employees want, we've got the access to capital that we're working through, the mentorships, the entrepreneurs and residents, the partners here at BHI. We have the assets to make that ecosystem work on those 2 fronts. And those are areas that we're pursuing. In fact, last week I was in Las Vegas with a business development team member at the Health Informatics Show, HIMSS 18. We'll go to bio. I think you and I are sharing a booth together. It'll be the two good-looking bald gentlemen. Come see us.
Easy to find
Boston.
us, right?
and then we'll round out with Select USA, which is Recruiting International Business, and RSA, which is a cybersecurity conference. But certainly thought leadership industries, very different from what I came from in Florida most recently. But harkening back to my days in Austin, Texas, where it really was a knowledge economy that we were pursuing.
And while you have a primary focus for Montgomery County, how important is regionalization to you as an economic development organization? Because in most instances, state lines, county lines, rivers, bridges are artificial from getting people to work together. But how do you believe in regionalization versus just focusing on a county perspective?
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more that those lines are imaginary. And coming from a very big county, in fact, our county was so big that two different regions kind of took claim to us. We were part of the Tampa Bay region and we were part of the Orlando region. And being such a large county, I immediately learned the need to be regional in thinking. And I think I brought that regional perspective up here. Here it's a little different in the fact that we've got two states and we've got DC between us, which adds another layer of complexity. But certainly we have shared attributes in our transportation system, our connectivity, our talent. Talent will always be pulled from a broader region, as you know. I think when it gets down to the real estate portion of the sell and the pitch, that's when we can not be as cooperative. But this pitch that we're going through with Amazon right now has proven the fact that if we work regionally together, we can tell a much more compelling story for Montgomery County and the Washington, D.C. region. So certainly a regional person, I think we call it co-opetition. Co-opetition. I was asked, this was maybe week number 1 when I was here, and they said, Dave, how are you going to work with your counterparts in Northern Virginia? And I guess I still had some of my Florida blood in me, and I said, well, it's kind of like a NASCAR race. You got to draft with each other the whole race, the first 198 laps, just to be at the front. And then when the last 2 laps are coming up, then all bets are off and you try to actually win the race. But unless you're working together during the whole race, you won't even be in contention at the end. So I think you'll find myself, my counterpart in D.C., Brian Kenner, and Victor Hoskins in Arlington, Jerry Gordon in Fairfax. I think you'll find that there's much more regional participation than what the headlines of the newspapers would tell you. I think it makes a great story to say that we're trying to poach business from each other, but we're not looking to do that. We're really looking to create a rising tide for the entire region, and we're doing that through good communication, through talent sharing, of understanding the education assets, promoting what we need to promote on metro reform and transportation issues. I'm hopeful that takes even one step further in the future. Perhaps we start doing some joint marketing trips together. There's opportunities to do even more, but I think the table is set for additional regionalism in the coming years.
You know, that's really encouraging to hear, especially you've mentioned Amazon twice. And
that's my limit. I can only do 2 times.
Well, I mean, I'm going to talk about it a third time now in a different way. And that is, what was it, 58 people applied, or
238.
238 people applied to set up a new regional headquarters for Amazon in the United States. And Amazon's promise is it would have the potential to create 50,000 high-paying jobs whenever they select that region. And they've gone through a reduction process to limit it down to 20 finalists. And as you mentioned, Montgomery County is the only county that is qualified out of those 20 as an individual county to be considered for this Amazon headquarters. Tell me a little bit about, I know you can't talk about all the secrets, but how do you sell a county against some of these other regions in the United States? And what were the strengths that you sell to attract someone like an Amazon to Montgomery County?
Yeah, and I'll set up my response that I'm going to speak to this as what are the strengths that a company like Amazon would be appealed to. Yeah, absolutely.
That is fine.
Not to be directly...
And not to give away any trade secrets.
Exactly, but certainly a company that's looking for 50,000 employees, much like this technology company, it's going to be about talent. And Montgomery County and the region have incredible, not only existing talent, but incredible talent pipeline. And our ability to put together what the story is on the regional front, not only in Maryland, but in Northern Virginia and Washington, D.C., what type of education training facilities we have is very, very critical to a technology company looking for long-term growth, much like this company is. So it was both recognizing what we have, recognizing what we're building, and then also proving what we've invested in the past. And I think that's where Montgomery County is truly a unique destination for a business. Is it's not necessarily what we're going to promise moving forward, but what has Montgomery County done in the last 2 decades to support education? And Montgomery County has done a great deal through our K through 12 system and investment in our university system. So talent certainly is really the number one driver, and you see it in your work at BHI, is the right people can really make a business successful. The second was connectivity and telling the connectivity story. So now you have the talent. Where do they live? Where do they come from? What's access to customers look like? But what's the connectivity of being able to bring that workforce to the site that they would choose? And we have a great connectivity story. The third is more of a cultural fit. Are we aligned in the same purpose-driven values? And Montgomery County is an incredible place when it comes to purpose-driven people. We don't just work in Montgomery County, but we're looking to change the world in Montgomery County, whether that's through technology or health or science. Many of the people that I know you meet as well are inspiring in what they're trying to do to better the world. We are one of the most diverse counties in the United States, as you know. 1 out of 3 of our residents are foreign born. So that diversity of people, that diversity of thought, those diversity of ideas lend themselves to a life sciences company or technology company or advanced manufacturer. So really took those 3 areas as well as another couple hundred questions that were asked and responded to what I think is a very compelling value proposition.
Probably appropriate to talk about this now that we also have the NCAA in the Final Four, and we're down to 20. And with that decision process, I'm sure it'll be narrowed down further. But I would imagine that everybody working together to put this proposal together, regardless of whether we win or not, is going to create some indirect positive benefits to the region, the community, and the organizations that have been involved.
You're exactly right. This has prepared us so well for the future. In fact, material that we've put together for this project has already been given to additional companies in how we sell Montgomery County, and has really bolstered my business development team to know, hey, Montgomery County was on the radar and is now even more entrenched on the radar. There's site selectors and companies owners looking at us for the very first time saying, look at these other comparables, and here's Montgomery County. Maybe we should consider them as well. So materials integrate into our marketing campaigns. It's allowing us to make new introductions to companies. It's allowing us to work better with our partners. We've gotten much closer with our partners at the state and the county through the process. I think it's also advanced conversations on metro and transportation, and really had us look at not only the great things about our county, but areas that we can continue to grow and make better. So I would think that's going to happen to a lot of communities that are going through this business development pitch. But I think the lessons that we learn in Montgomery County will be put to good use, and we'll be able to leverage this. Well,
thanks for that update. And we'll leave Amazon now, hoping that we're not going to leave it forever. But let's talk about another thing that's real time. And both BHI and MCEDC were formed under the current county executive, Ike Leggett, and the current county council. And 2018 is going to generate a new county executive plus some new county council members who have all been very supportive of economic development in both of our missions. So how do you look at the future for MCEDC, potentially under new leadership at both the council and the county exec level?
I think, again, it has to be a collaborative approach, but it has to be a consistent approach. And that's what I hope the MCEDC can offer during a change of county council members and a new county executive, is a continued presence for the business community. Not that we want to merely represent the business community, but we want the business community to have a voice, and we want them to be served. We want them to be able to continue to grow outside of any type of political change. So we hope to be the constant that the business community can turn to as a resource for their success. As you noted, county council has been very supportive of our group. County executive has been incredibly supportive of our group. Even the county executive has done so much in the past 12 years to set the stage for our success that we hope to capitalize on that momentum. At the end of the day, what you and I do is we look to create new jobs, new capital investment, improve people's quality of lives. And I would think those are things that many, many people want to get behind. So we'll educate our partners. We'll hope to be collaborative and stay focused on doing great things for the business community.
Another thing related to local government is that local government funds a certain portion of both of our operations. We're not totally dependent on local government only, but we have 3 private-public partnerships leading economic development within Montgomery County, MCEDC, WorkSource, Montgomery, and BioHealth Innovation. You mentioned 18,000 economic development organizations in the country. How many jurisdictions have all of their economic development done only through private-public partnerships, which makes it unique? And why is there, if there is an advantage, to have three PPPs working together, established to collaborate with one another?
Mm-hmm. I think there was 4 questions in there. I'm going to try to remember.
We're going to see if you can remember them all, David. This is a test at the end.
I've one of my hobbies is to better understand economic development, even outside of our organization. I've been doing some research on other EDCs around the United States, and it seems as if the government-run EDC is the norm. It's maybe 60%, maybe 20% are public-private partnerships, and 10 are fully private. But I think you need, and I know you need, the balance of the public assets and the private expertise. It really has to go hand in hand with each other. So I think the model is moving toward more public-private partnerships in the organizational structure of EDCs. Where I see government-only run EDCs, they're lacking some of the innovation and speed and confidentiality that a private organization has. In the private side, you might lack the capital and the resources and the incentives to attract. So you really need both of those. I've been part of I think 3 different forms of economic development organizations, and I believe in my heart that the public-private partnership is the true structure that you can leverage both sides of the equation really well. In the sense that the 3 of us work together and collaborate, I think it's strong in the fact that we're able to focus. As long as there's great communication between us, which there is, WorkSource Montgomery and our organization, office in the same floor, same office space, as well as our tourism group. BHI and MCEDC are maybe 1.5 miles down the road, and we have frequent communication between our business development people. I think if we keep communication open and we understand roles, responsibilities, we collaborate, we share information, that focus that each of us have make us experts at what we're doing. So you're very much focused on one phase of the life sciences ecosystem. We're focused on a different phase. That doesn't mean that one is more effective or less effective, but we're complementary to each other. So what I've enjoyed about the relationship with you and we'll look forward to in the future is continuing to find those complementary synergies together and understanding when we're going to pass off information or pass off a project and how we leverage your network and you can leverage our network and do great things for Montgomery County.
Well said. And I look for those points where there's greater opportunities for our teams to work together. And, the International Bio Conference is one of those examples where we share a booth, we have different goals, missions, but we find it very complementary to be standing next to one another so we can sell different aspects of economic development and this region to the people that we encounter.
And what's interesting, if you don't mind me just interjecting, is we're even part of a bigger group.
Did, so go ahead, Dave.
We're part of the state of Maryland,
right.
So it's really that trifecta of the state and BHI and MCEDC working together,
all within the Maryland Pavilion,
yeah.
Recognizing that we are just a small component of the bigger ecosystem.
Yeah.
And then when you look beyond just the state of Maryland, it's the BioHealth Capital Region, which is Virginia, D.C., and the state of Maryland, of which Montgomery County is really an economic engine for the whole region as well as the state.
And I think that's fair. You hit it earlier that there are a lot of imaginary boundaries,
right.
And economic development is a much broader perspective than a jurisdictional appeal.
So I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt now. You've been here 17 months. Everybody says, job well done. What are you going to do for me tomorrow? So the key is, what do you see as the greatest opportunities for MCEDC and David Petr? And what are also some of the greatest challenges you have over the next 2 to 5 years?
The biggest opportunity is to continue to reflect what the business community needs in our work. And I think we're doing that with our revision to our strategic plan. We had a strong strategic plan a year ago. Our new plan is very much driven on what we've heard from the business community. Specific to life sciences, we certainly want to focus on the infrastructure side where you have a void of wet lab space, as you're aware of, and maybe wet lab incubator space. We want to help champion not only helping companies find the right real estate, whether it's life sciences or it's food manufacturing or it's incubator space. We want to help companies find access to customers, access to mentors, access to capital, We want to help companies that might not fit in the traditional box of economic development. We have certain incentive tools for companies that are relocating and some that are expanding. But there's a lot of companies in Montgomery County that want to grow and diversify, but may not have the ability to do so. So we want to think through what are some of those untraditional tools we might be able to offer. We're considering a business developer in residence program that we could help.
Sounds familiar.
Yeah, that we could help life sciences companies with access to new customers and new growth. And that's out of hearing from the community what is needed. I think in the challenge side, we have a big plan. We've got a lot to do. Montgomery County has a wonderful story to tell. It's an incredible place, but hasn't been as boastful in its assets and its opportunity. We have the opportunity to diversify our economy much more than it is today. I think we have the ability to be much more hungry in attracting business and fueling business that's here. So we put together a very aggressive strategic plan of action, so much so that we can't add anymore. We got to now take some back and maybe prioritize to make sure that we can manage expectations of the business community and our board of directors. So as our plan gets refined in the next 30 days, I'm challenging my team to make sure that everything that we hope to do and promise to do is actually achievable with our budget, with our timeline, and with the business community here in the county.
You mentioned something very important, I think. A lot of people recognize this as sort of a government-driven region, and with government comes very conservative approaches. Government isn't known for being the best marketer that exists in the world. And so I think we've lived under that cloud for many, many, many years here, and it really needs some very proactive selling and marketing about the assets we have in this region, which are very differentiated. And some of them are one-of-a-kind assets that can't be replicated anyplace else in the United States or the world. So, David, I think that you're doing a good job of telling that story. We just need to tell the story more often.
Yeah, and louder.
Louder.
Yeah.
So last thing we're going to talk about is it's open mic and last words. You basically have the ability to convey anything you'd like to listen to our listeners. And I'm talking to David Petr, the president and CEO of Montgomery County Economic Development Corporation. So, David, it's all yours.
Well, I think I tipped my hat off to what I like to do with my presentations and the people I meet, but certainly would want to invite your listeners and your network to reach out to me and our organization to be part of our team as well as being part of your team. So I would want to know of companies that have a barrier to their success, that see an opportunity to their growth. If they know of a company that could be in Montgomery County and successful here, I'd like to know about that. If they think there's a company that's challenged and is thinking about leaving, heaven forbid, I'd like to know about that as well. I'd like to engage the business community that's listening to this podcast to be part of our story. Help me make Montgomery County a great place to live, work, and play, because I truly believe it's an incredible place. And I believe if we can reflect what the business community needs to be successful, we can create solutions that are different, innovative, and creative to be successful and make things happen here for better quality of life for our county and our region.
So if the listeners want to get in touch with you, how would they do that?
Probably the best way is david@thinkmoco.com, and that's thinkmoco.com.
And what is, that is your website, right?
Yeah, thinkmoco.com is the website, and there's many ways to engage with us and tell your story. And you'll also see all of our team members there that you can reach out to as well.
Well, I want to thank David Petr, President and CEO of Montgomery County Economic Development Corporation, better known as MCEDC, for being on BioTalk today. And David, I enjoy working with you and look forward to working with you for many years in the future to build this as a very vibrant region. And we will both together hit top 3 by 2023 and probably exceed that.
I'm ready. Let's go. Thanks,
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
Thanks for listening to BioTalk with Rich Bendis.